What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Tuesday, February 13th. Well, Tesla stock here today finishing down about 5.5 points per share, 2.81% to the downside. I mean, listen, if we were looking at the S&P right now, this would be mildly concerning. However, this is another day for Tesla. All right, let's take a look. Looking here at the 1 minute chart, we'll start here. Obviously, I like to start with some intraday opportunity. Understand that this is a little bit separate from bigger picture. However, these stocks offer some beautiful intraday opportunity every once in a while. So let's take a look. You can see here, we saw this mild rejection setup forming here early. For me, I would have liked to see a little bit more development. We then flipped to this bounce setup, and it just got sloppy. This channel tightened down just a little bit too much for my taste, taking into consideration the sloppiness of this setup. Again, completely unrelated from the bigger picture on Tesla, but the intraday opportunity is important to potentially help generate some revenue, right? We're looking across the entire market. The actual ticker is somewhat irrelevant. However, they tend to act slightly differently to each other intraday, which is why we need to track them individually. Tesla here, not a whole lot for me, but understand that this wasn't out of the ordinary. The market itself, very sloppy today. We were able to catch a nice downside scalp on AMD. That offered a very, very clean setup, but again, not out of the ordinary. Tesla actually one of the cleaner stocks today, all things considered. If you guys do want to get my personal scalp setup alerts every single trading day, take a look at that first link in the pinned comment. You can go ahead and join Gold or Gold Plus if you want to add on swing trade setup alerts. Gold Plus UOA if you want swings, scalps, and human verified unusual options, or Platinum one-on-one coaching for all of it, plus the one-on-one support. Go ahead and get grandfathered in at the current rate. Once you join, I'll never raise it on you as long as you retain your membership. Hope to see you join. But let's move on here from the intraday stuff. Let's look at the bigger picture, okay? What I want to look at is volume on the 5 minute. We've been doing this, okay? And remember, if you've seen any of the other Tesla videos or any of the other videos at all, you know what I'm looking for here, right? I'm looking for changes in volume that correlate with stock price movement, okay? To tell us, okay, it looks like the biggest sample size of the market agreed the most heavily with this move in particular. We're looking for bias confirmation. Okay, so clearly the biggest downside move of the day was really here. And interestingly, we did see a bit of an increase in volume. Okay, so the bears are going to look at that and say, okay, I don't hate to see that. Now, as far as obvious increases during upside moves, well, really all we had was kind of this bounce, but that was more like a fade to the upside after that kind of like intraday dump type move. And the volume was really nothing impressive. We saw big volume off the open, but that's to be expected. So in the context of that, it's really not that out of the ordinary. That's all I can really pull here out of the 5 minutes. So let's move on to the 30 minute and start getting really contextual with the self-fulfilling prophecy levels, psychological levels that we need to be watching across all time frames, like the white line, that 50 period, and the gray line, the 200 period. Very commonly watched. Now listen here, on the 30 minute chart, again, we're going to look at each time frame, never just looking at one time frame. You lose out on all the context when you just do that. The huge mistake that a lot of people make. There's very clearly a channel between the 50 period and the 200 period right now here on the 30 minute chart. That 200 period is the most immediately relevant. Here's what I'm looking for from both sides. If I'm a bull, I want to see a test of that 200 period and a hard bounce up out of the hole up toward that 50 period. And really, my ultimate goal would be to reclaim that 50 period as a support level. I mean, it's about 2% away, but that's less than what we saw to the downside here today. If I'm a bear, upon an upside retest, hard rejection is key. Really, though, what I'm after if I'm a bear is a downside break of that gray line, that 200 period moving average. All right, 4 hour chart. Let's take a look. This one's incredibly relevant right now. Sometimes the 4 hour is less relevant. Sometimes it's more. Right now, we have to watch this. That white line's the 50 period. We actually closed making a test of it. We faded slightly after hours. As always, take after hours with a grain of salt. This is the one area I'm watching right now on the 4 hour, though. If I'm a bull, reclaim that 50 period, hold it, bounce away, use it as support. Okay? If I'm a bear, hard downside break, fade downside is what I want to see. You know, even if we see a retest and a hard rejection, that's beautiful as a bear. That's what a lot of bears are psychologically going to be looking for here on the 4-hour chart on Tesla. Now, let's take a look at the most important chart of the day on really any security, Tesla in particular here, the daily, okay? We know that here on Tesla, there is currently a level between 177.50 and 180. That's a current support level that we're watching. So listen, given a downside test of that 180 region, that 177.50 region, granted, it's about 5% away, 4.5% to 5% away, you know, but we have to look at that on a day-to-day, from a day-to-day perspective, because we know what Tesla can do. I want to see that hold as support, but really, so, I mean, listen, if you're a bear, you want to see a downside test of that, and ideally a break downside, but again, understand, it's a 4 to 5 to 6% move away. That's a pretty big day. But look, if I'm a bull here looking at this, really my ultimate goal is a reclaim of 200, but that's a 6.5% move away. Small steps, right? A reclaim of 190, I would be immensely happy with from a bullish perspective. Just reclaim 190, creep our way back up to that huge ultimate level that Tesla's going to have to come to at some point, right? We're going to have to reclaim $200 a share from a bullish perspective. It's going to be a massive psychological level, and it's a really important level here moving forward on this name in particular. Now, implied volatility, you know, looking here, just understand that we are in the lower to mid range here on IV. Typically, when people are buying options, they want to buy when IV is as low as possible. And when people are selling options, whether that's to close a position or to open a position, right? They typically want IV to be as high as possible. So just understand that we're currently in the low to mid range on implied volatility and factor that into your risk management or your plan. Let's take a look at the bias in the chain. See what the options traders are thinking as we head into tomorrow. This is, of course, all data just from today. Good sample size, 1.68 million total contracts traded here today. And we're getting some bullish lean here. 1.02 million calls, 663,000 puts. Okay, that's the overall ratio. The short-term speculators also leaning bullish. 352,000 calls in the 0 to 20 delta range compared to just 221,000 puts. The mid to longer term, okay, 61 to 80 and 81 to 100, actually slightly undecided here. You know, we're seeing that 61 to 80, 34,000 calls to 30,000 puts. And interestingly, those deeper in the money contracts, we're seeing 28,000 calls compared to 48,000 puts. That's unusual, but it's a smaller sample size, so take that with a grain of salt. But still, that shorter term, the short-term speculators leaning to the bullish side, and the overall culprit ratio, again, leaning bullish. But as always, around here, risk management is number one. Make sure that's managed. Stay in the game is key. Okay, options traders, they can be wrong. Hey, listen, it's a goal of mine to hit 1,000 subs in the next 2 weeks, and I think at this rate we can blow that out of the water. So if you get value out of these videos, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I will keep covering Tesla and a variety of other names. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.